Alright. So we're going to go the other direction now, guys. And this is in the feminine. So the feminine has all these negative sexual attributes which are quite different, but kind of similar. And again, so for women or feminine orientated individuals out there, it's important again to look at these faculties and not just go, fuck men for doing this to me, right? More go, okay, I'm a part of this big picture. This is a big duality. This is a big holographic universe that we're living in, where we're all complicit in the creation and healing of these imbalances and distortions in our community. You can use the word distortion in the sense it looks as an imbalance, as opposed to saying that it's an imbalance, or there's something right, or there's something wrong. This is just what's happening, and the universe doesn't really play the game of right or wrong, so we can call it a distortion. This is a ripple. We can say something went wrong, but this is just what's happening. So, 4-year-old said to me once, she said, I don't understand why you adults say things are good or things are bad. Yeah, she's in that zone of understanding there's just movement, there's just karma, there's just action. The negative sexual path of the feminine, destruction of men's credibility via seduction. I've got Kali here. Kali is this whole Hindu deity of basically consumption and destruction of the masculine. So, what does that mean? This means that sometimes a woman sees a man of high degree, a guy of good ethical morals, a guy of power, a guy who might be good looking or attractive in whatever way, who's fully on his path, who's fully on this warrior mission, and she's like, this guy, I can seduce this guy. He seems pretty unseducible, but I think I can do it. And this comes from a place of wanting to see if she can basically take ownership of this person through her own sexual seductive power and then just cast him aside. To see if she can conquer this guy and make him become basically weak and crumple to her seduction so she can basically commoditize him, take ownership over him and then cast him aside. Right when this guy might have been in this amazing process of maybe falling in love with this woman who's seducing him, going, oh my God, but she's doing it through her own self-gratification and ego and ownership, and also through a resentment towards the masculine of wanting to basically crush him and cast him out and cast him aside, like a phoenix when she seduced him, because she sees it, this guy of high ethical degree and kind of warrior sort of status, as a guy that she can just consume to prove that he is just weak. To prove that this idea of some man who's going to say no to her doesn't exist. To prove that all of the masculine is weak and she can just take ownership of it. So this is this whole Kali concept of basically that. And for this whole Shiva concept in this archetype as well, and you often see these paintings where Shiva is lying down and the Kali goddess is walking over him. Because he knows and he understands that everything that he ever creates for a woman, everything he ever gives her, everything he ever does for her, this is this whole giving, receiving as well. This whole women and that archetypal energy of female sexuality is to receive, and for men it is to give. So everything he's ever going to give her through creativity and through his sexuality will be destroyed, will end at some point. And Shiva is laying down that divine acceptance that nothing is forever, and everything that he creates will be essentially destroyed by Kali. And he accepts that and understands he can just be in the moment of the fact that he can just be creative and loving, and it's all just going to disappear. And it's fine. Nothing lasts forever. And he's like, cool. So a lot of men are kind of in this attachment of when we're being creative and loving towards a woman, we're completely attached to a permanent entity of a relationship or love or marriage or a new car or a child or something. We kind of get kind of hyper attached to everything lasting forever. So when we accept that in the masculine, we can understand that there is a lot of destructive energy in the feminine too, and just love it. And that's a really kind of strange place to get into. If you read Way of the Superior Man by David Data, it gets covered really well. Hatred towards women in competition. That's pretty self-explanatory, right? So if you have this in you as a woman, it's important to realize, well, why is that there? Why are you seeing your sisters as someone you resent and want to compete with? Okay? How have you been programmed around this whole thing of winning the masculine and seducing? Who's going to seduce this guy of high degree? And I'm going to compete with all my sisters about this sort of thing, right? So it's pretty far out. And that one doesn't need much explanation. It's more to identify these faculties in yourself so we can transcend them. Hatred of the penis. This is again hatred of the yoni. This all goes round and round. When we're hating each other in this way in our sexualities, there's a lot of disdain, especially from sexual assault and rape survivors and all this sort of thing, of this hatred towards men's sexuality, and then blaming men's sexuality for a lot of the issues that they're experiencing. So it's important to realise that this hatred as well really affects guys and their self-esteem and their processes as well when they feel this resentment from women towards them and their penises and their sexuality. So a lot of men as well feel really uncomfortable in their own sexuality because of this sort of energy, as opposed to confident. And we all want each other to feel confident and loved, you know? And so it's important to realise that and to look at where that came from. And a lot of this sort of hatred comes from self-victimization and blaming these perpetrators around what they did to you. Attraction to only powerful men. This also comes from this idea of only wanting men who are high degree and stoic and hardcore, and not really looking at men in a different way, in a full spectrum of spirituality, in a full spectrum of connection, and to only be attracted to trying to win these men of power. You know, and this is a trait which is very important to identify, because a lot of the sort of men who are going to be the right partner for you as women are not the powerful ones in our society, but are the ones that are more in tune with themselves and are powerful from a place of emptiness and powerful from a place of understanding self-love and oneness with each other in our community, as opposed to what we perceive as high status. Misuse of the most powerful force in the universe, the seductive power of the goddess. This means that you know you're very seductive, and is also one of the most powerful things out there. Women need to understand that when you want to be seductive towards a man, okay, that there's often, this is the easiest way to compromise him. There is something in men which makes us quite helpless when a woman is trying to seduce us. I don't fully understand what that is, but it's really important for women to be aware of the fact that when you want to seduce someone, you can really pull him out of his power. Let's say he's married, he's got children, or he doesn't want to be with you. And if you are basically approaching him in this way through your own sexuality, you are essentially going to create a lot of negativity for him, you know, and for yourself. So this is why I call this the most powerful force in the universe, is because when a woman wants to be seductive and wants to get something through this seduction,
It's John for 10 minutes.
Pubs, huh? My dad bought a motorcycle of someone once, and it wasn't too loud, but like the guy who sold it to him said, "Oh, it used to be a lot quieter, but I drilled all these holes in the exhaust to make it louder." You know, this is what we're dealing with. All right. So, does that make sense? Okay. Often, some women realize this, who do this, and some women don't realize this. But it's very easy to compromise a man's integrity with your own ego and self-gratification around you wanting to basically dominate him sexually and pull him out of his power. This is really important. A lot of women can sometimes think that men don't actually have this weakness in them, but it's there, and it's to understand that we're not perfect, us guys, and you can really pull us out of our power if you want to. We need your support and love. And love and support doesn't mean seduce us and be with us. Love and support can often mean don't seduce us, don't use us, and actually don't be with us in this way. If that's not our divine intent to actually be together sexually, to actually support us by not seducing us and pushing us to grow as men, okay? And this is really important. This can create a lot of destruction and a lot of lack of hope in the masculine and feminine when this sort of game starts getting played. Okay? And this can make men feel really worthless when we are seduced in a way that we realise that that person doesn't care about us. They just want to know that they can seduce us. And it can get really quite troubling and quite sad. And some men never recover from this. Yeah? This is a serious thing. Because when a man's heart gets broken in this way, or his nervous system gets compromised in this way, he might never recover. There is these ideas that this sort of trauma in a relationship or in a love story can basically be very hard for men to heal. And, you know, as women you can think, oh, men are really stoic and they're just going to deal with it and he'll be fine. The reality is he might shut down and never be able to open his heart again, and will go into shallow relationship, totally afraid of being hurt again. So it's very important to realise that you can open a man's heart towards you, and it is a delicate thing. Listen to the Zadie Rudd song, My Heart is Paper Thin. Okay? That's a good song. There's some serious shit he's talking about, and it's about that. So don't hurt me, because I'm open as fuck. Yeah? And you're saying that to these goddesses out there. Don't do this, because you really need these strong, open, vulnerable guys in our society to give us hope that this is possible, and let us stay open by not seducing us. We need you not to seduce us. Okay? It's about these bigger kind of heart-opening, deeper, creative connections, where the creative connection comes from a place of looking for more and more opening and more healing. As well, when you see these sorts of people in these sorts of relationships where they are both loving and open in this way, it creates a lot of hope. You know, when you see a really successful relationship that's really solid for their children, or solid in that way, it creates a ripple effect of healing and hope for everyone who's in contact with them or not in contact with them. Holographic success in relationships.